over the next few minutes. But I want to introduce a rising star, up and comer, Jason Samko. This is not his first go at doing YouTube, and he's an expert in some really cool outdoors and recreation. Everybody needs to watch this guy. It's truly incredible, the stuff he knows. He's got some other podcasts and YouTube channels as well. But I want to introduce Jason Samko here.
How's it going, man?
Good to have you. This is fun. What's the chances so I guess we should just lay this out there. So Jason and I have been close friends for, what'd you say,
20 years.
20 years?
Yep.
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 And it's funny, this is why in the world you never know how you're going to meet someone or what it's going to turn into. It all started with snowmobiling, right? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, we were both very active on Do Talk on a snowmobile forum. And then I called you up one day and I said, "Hey, dude, I'm getting ready to go on my first trip out west and ride the mountains. You want to go?" You're like, "Who's this?"
And next thing you know, some random dude from Michigan, we're just saying, let's jump in a truck together and drive 30 hours to Montana or Wyoming. Where was that? Wyoming, right?
Wyoming. We went to the Snowies first trip. Yep.
Yep. No, that's
Yep.
awesome.
So and that's how we met. That's how I met Phil too. You know,
that's
the three of us.
Yep.
You know, cruising the world for a long time.
Just cruising the world, and it all starts from forums and social media.
Yep.
But so I've known Jason for a long time. We've hunted together. We've been in outdoors. We've snowmobiled together, dirt bike together. Been all over Michigan outdoors as well as a little bit out west. And Jason is a man of many crafts. He knows a ton of stuff about everything. I've never met a human that knows something about everything like Jason. It's awesome. And it's awesome to see now where both of us have done different times of getting into YouTube and doing this now, and seeing us now kind of doing a similar world. And it's fun bringing different perspectives, and we're hoping it helps other people kind of understand our different perspectives of vehicles and how we use them and the importance of some of the stuff out there.
Well, and we've been, you know, great minds think alike and, you know, that kind of thing. And even when we were in the snowmobile days, this was always a thing for us. You know, it was always trucks. It was always snowmobiles. It was always dirt bikes. It was always mountain bikes. It was anything with wheels and anything with a motor, and we were in it. You know, pontoon boats and speed boats and ski boats, and what, it didn't matter what it was. We were just into it. And me and you always had that same philosophy of, I'm going to buy this and it's going to be amazing. And then it was like a year later, like, that was cool, but out with it. Now we need a new one, you know?
Yeah, like, right.
I mean, I've never met.
You beat me to the mark with the pontoon, if I remember right.
Yeah, well, that pontoon was, you know what? Where I lived, it sucked because it was like a $50,000 triple tune with the custom stuff in there and that motor. It was all that, but I lived in the woods, and the first winter happened and mice were getting into things. I was like, nope, selling it, gone. You know, I just didn't live in the right environment to have it. And then you went and bought that remember you bought that super cheap pontoon boat. I'm like, that's what I want. You don't even got to care about it. You don't got to cover it. Yeah. But I mean, we've always been this way, you know. We've always been into the truck stuff. We've always been into all that kind of thing. I remember laughing at you on that first snowmobile trip we went on together up in the UP. You detailed your truck before you went up there and then drove it through the snow and the slush. And by the time we got it, we couldn't even tell it was detailed.
No, that's great. Well, what's fun now is like, and so I guess we could kind of get into a little bit is talking about your experience. So you've now, with where you're living down in Georgia, you have a little different truck need than me. You know, I'm still pulling a little heavier. I got a little more space, and you're getting into tighter stuff like hunting and recreation, whatever. And you've dabbled in some different brands that I haven't, and I've probably done the same as you. I'm curious, like what you've seen, because you've carried so many different vehicles the last 5 years. With what you see going on right now, especially with Toyota and everything, what is your thought just on the truck market and like what you're seeing? I'm just curious.
You know, it's kind of sad is what it is. It really is. You know, I mean, up until probably maybe well, let's put Toyota into perspective. If you go back just a year or two ago and you start thinking of people that wanted long-term, you go back 5 years ago and you wanted people that wanted a long-term heavy duty, or I mean a full-size truck or even a mid-size truck, you had a lot of options. You had Tundras that would run for 500,000 miles all day. You had Fords with the Coyote, and you had these motors that would run for forever, before they had to, the cylinder deactivation and all the crap that's on this stuff now is government regulated. You had the third gen Tacoma that would run forever, and you had the Frontier that would run forever. You had the Gladiator that would run forever. You had these naturally aspirated motors and all this stuff. Now it seems that the whole world is kind of going the way of the refrigerator and the wash machine in the truck market. That's what I see. I mean, they look flashy. They got that ooh shiny. Look at this kind of thing, but really, then you go touch it and you're like, oh my God, that's gonna, and you go feel this stuff and you put your hand on it, you grab a door panel and it moves 4 inches. I mean, you see and everything is held together with little clips, and you can't even buy, like on a Chevy truck, you can't even buy like a door handle anymore. If a door handle breaks, you have to buy the whole entire door
Assembly.
card. It's like I said, everything has been so cheaply done now, and so just slap happy put together. It's just kind of sad. I mean, I understand why manufacturers do it, but the ones I worry about the most are these guys that are long-term runners. These are those guys that want to buy a truck. They're doing
Hold
like
on to
eight to
it.
10,000 miles a
Yep.
year.
Yep.
They're the exact opposite of me. I'm dumping
Yep.
40,000 miles a year on it, and I'm beating it like a hammer the whole time I
Yep.
own it, and then I'm moving on. These
Yep.
guys want to drive it, take care of it, wax it, park it in a garage, and run it for 25 years. There's no options left for them anymore. It's getting thin. It's getting real thin.
I know you've touched on it. The one that I didn't think I would ever recommend in the past for midsize, if we want simple right now, the simplest options at Nissan Frontier from a midsize, staying natural aspirated. It doesn't look bad, you know. But you're right, and it's funny because I got this 15-year-old Raptor right now, which
The
arguably
amazing
it's got
barn find. The
yep,
amazing
barn
barn
find,
find.
yeah, a barn find, and it's arguably, everyone thinks about the 5.4 not having a great reputation. Dude, this thing is solid. And then I think, imagine 15 years from now, imagine one of these engines and transmissions that's never been apart in 160,000 miles. How few of those will there be? I mean, they're all going to be apart in that time frame. Every single one of them, I feel like. And so I just think like 15 years from now, man, what would you get? And like I look at the ones like Toyota, I know they're struggling in certain areas, but like they've also done some great things. I know they've addressed some rust issues. They finally got rid of the drum brakes on the rear. I think the new Tacoma looks really good. But then there's other things where they're not doing that good. And what's interesting is, Toyota, dude, these guys are the leader, in my opinion, always of mid-sized truck. If it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be a Colorado Canyon here today or a Ranger or any of this and stuff. So, but my opinion, and I feel like you'd probably agree, they've been dethroned. I mean, look what you just purchased in the last few days. I feel like that's clearly best in class midsize right now, at least in my opinion.
Yep. I like it too. And I do like the Toyota. See, my thing with Toyota, um, when the fourth gen came out, I think I had just got rid of my third gen, which I loved. I really liked the third gen. Now, was it the best truck? No. Was it great at anything? No. What it was reliable, dependable, long lasting, and proven. And it was
Yep.
affordable.
Yep.
Affordable. I bought it for $37,400 brand new on a TRD off road in 2022. 2024 comes around and these prices are astronomical, and you hit on a lot of great points. The Tacoma, the new one, is a very good looking truck, and honestly, I really like the motor and I like the setup in it. I mean, I've drove 4 of them now. I don't care for the hybrid because I don't like hybrid stuff in there, especially as an off-road kind of guy that's in. And when I say off-road, I don't mean I off-road because I want to go to the park or I want to go to the mountains and climb
Two
something. I
tracking.
mean, I have to, yeah, for what I
Yep.
do for hunting, I have to, off-road. So but they did a good job with it. The problem is the company and what they do to their customers.
Yep.
They just got fined at $60 million for screwing them over in the financial area. They cheated on all their safety tests. They cheat on all this stuff. We look at with the Tundra recall, and then the Tacoma recall, and how they hide everything and they're not telling us what's going on, and they're taking so long to do it. And then on top of that, as well as I do, you can't buy a Toyota. You can't custom order one. You have to
Yep.
get it in allocation. I just
Yep.
made a video. I went to 3 different Toyota dealers, and the only color you get is white, gray, or black. That's the only thing
Yep.
they're giving you.
Yep.
like I said, they're just not real good for their customers. They treat their customers like dirt. That bothers me.
So we got some comments here from the
Yep.
one and only Nicole. Actually, good point. The Ranger was technically the first. It wasn't a midsize back then. It was considered a compact truck. That's kind of like a different nomenclature now, but that is accurate from back in the day. Um, but that kind of went away for a bit, and now it's back, which I'm glad to see the Ranger is back.
I have two of those Rangers, a 92 and a 93 I had. Yep. Great little
Nice,
truck. And
nice.
funny because I'm in Georgia. So down here, I see a ton of them. We don't get rust
Yep.
down here. We don't have
Say
stuff.
last.
So there's a ton of those 90s Rangers running around down here. Yep.
Yep, for sure. No, that's cool. Another topic I know a lot of people want to know, and I feel like it's on the top of everybody's mind. If you're a truck buyer or owner and you're wanting to upgrade, is what you and I see when we're putting out content and spending time and networking in the auto industry is pricing and what we're seeing on vehicles today. And I'll let you jump in here. I'll just give some of my thoughts. So in the last few days, I've seen a really interesting trend by me. And I'm seeing localized pricing things change because just this morning, I had a dealer reach out to me and ask if I wanted a Raptor R at MSRP. And I'm like, wait, is this a scam? Like, is this for real? Yes, this is for real. And I'm like, wow. To people that don't follow the F-150 or Raptor R, the Raptor R has been really hard to get for the last 3 years. These things are bringing $30,000 to $100,000 over MSRP. It's been ridiculous, but that's where the market has been. With that being said, for someone to reach out and say this, and they don't have people interested, I share it on social media because everybody says, man, I'd buy a Raptor R at MSRP. I'm not paying over. I
Right.
share this on there because all these people complain about the pricing. Not one person on
Wants
this.
to buy it.
30 people responded, not one person from that. Ended up selling 2 hours later. The guy reached out to me and let me know, said, thank you, blah, blah, blah. I share this because this market has changed so fast and it's so bizarre by me. There are a ton of Super Duties on dealership lots. It's unreal. But yet I looked at the dealership that has a ton of Super Duties and they hardly had any used trucks and used SUVs on the lot. I asked the new car sales guy, I'm like, what's up with this? I'm like, this is kind of weird. He says it's because leases are so expensive right now. People are buying used trucks versus buying new and they can't afford to buy brand new. And that's when I was like, wow, you can clearly tell the market's pivoting right now. I'm curious your thoughts. Like, are you seeing stuff like that down there too, or not so much?
Yeah. It's the same exact thing. And remember, they don't have people aren't turning in their vehicles anymore. The average car age of a car on the road today is like 12.5 years, which is insane. But people, you know, leasing kind of went away, during the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. Nobody was leasing anymore. And then they
Yep.
start trying to bring it back, but they're bringing it back at astronomical prices. I just did a video on this about a month ago. I called it the slow payment burn. And it talked about the reality of lease prices on trucks today versus the prices of buying them and how much that lease is going to hurt you. Now, there's a couple good ones out there if you can find them where you might do okay. But overall, you're usually going to be, even if you were to buy it, drive it for 10,000 miles a year for 3 years and then turn around and sell it versus leasing it side, you're usually still 10, 12, 15K upside down, over what it would be if you bought it, drove it and sold it.
Yeah.
So, but I think so. There's not a lot of lease turn in for people. A lot of
Yep.
people are keeping their cars longer because the interest rates have been so high. It's so hard for the dealers to get quality used cars.
Yeah.
Anything they get that's subpar
Yep.
gets shipped off to auction. It's not going to sit
Yep.
on their lot,
Yep.
so they don't have much to work with. And if they don't have used cars, and they can't get the trades, the deals aren't always there. It's they need it both ways. People seem to think that a car dealership or makes a lot of their money on new car sales. They kind of it's not bad, but it's a lot of it's service and trade in. See, when you're going to trade a vehicle in, they're going to give it to you, and they're planning on buying it from you on trade in and then selling it for $3,000 to $5,000 more. That's a
Yep.
huge amount of money for them. And if they don't have that
Yep.
income coming in, that kind of stuff coming in, They can't really do the deals, on this stuff. So it makes it harder. But what we're seeing, like you said, with the Raptor R, look at a Bronco Raptor.
You know?
Look, you own a Bronco Raptor. Look at the
Yeah.
prices and the deals you could get on that. Were literally
Right.
4 or 5, 6 months ago, they were
Yep.
asking 10 grand over MSRP, and now you can get one for 10 grand under MSRP.
I watched about a 12 to 18 month period. I watched Bronco Raptors going for $125,000 to $75,000. They literally dropped
50 grand.
$50,000, the exact same model year, even. On that topic, so I've been watching these dealership lots and inventory kind of creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. I don't know if you guys, anybody watching, has saw the news in the last day or so, but there's, I think it was Donald Trump made some comment, and I don't want to bring politics into this, but I do want to think about this perspective. He made a comment that when he's first in office, he's going to put executive order to putting a tariff in place for vehicles. I think vehicles or parts or something like that coming in from Mexico of 25%. And I don't know what that is today, per se, for, like, let's say you're Ford and you are manufacturing the Scorpion engine or the Hemi or the Hurricane or GM full size truck in Mexico, Salao, Mexico, Guadalajara. I've been all over Mexico in my automotive career where they're making these components. If they're making that motor in Mexico and it's shipping across the border to Kentucky truck plant for Ford or Dearborn truck plant for Ford or the Ram plant or all the manufacturers impacted, if there's a 25% tariff that starts January 20th, let's just say, are these protected? Because if they're not protected, as painful as this is for everybody thinking about how bad the prices are right now, man, next year, as soon as this happens, if an engine goes up 25% for Ford, until they can make changes to reduce supply chain or build a plant, that could take a year or two or more, or new supply chain or suppliers. This is going to hike the price up of vehicles like mad. I have to. I don't see any way around that. Now, I don't see how long it will last. I think that people will come to the table pretty quick. But if it does last a year, let's say that, if people are worried about prices on vehicles now, can you imagine what it's going to be like next year? Think about that.
Agree completely. And I'm pretty sure he's also doing that same tariff setup is going to be also on Canada and also on China.
For
So it's
sure.
going to be pretty interesting to see what
Yeah.
happens there. Matter of fact, I'm not selling my Forerunner yet. The one I've just replaced with the ZR2. I'm not selling that Forerunner yet because I want to see what's going to happen. And there's a good chance that the value of that may skyrocket
Just
even higher than I
100%.
anticipate. So
Dude,
yeah,
I
so I'm gonna
totally
sit on it
agree.
and wait and see. Yep.
Oh,
And then
I'm looking
as
at
well.
this.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I put these out in the news videos all the time in here too, but every single brand has said they will not let happen what we have right now with this overabundance of inventory and this high day supply of all these vehicles. They won't let this happen in 2025. Every one of them has said we will reduce supply to improve demand and meet demand, but where we don't have to have that over inventory. So the deals we see right now, the options we see right now, this buyer's market we see right now, you combine that with them making more on demand inventory and product. And then you combine that with the potential of these tariffs and what we don't know what's going to happen. You combine all these things. I bet 2025 is going to be a pretty tricky year to buy a new car. I bet we're back to very close to MSRP prices again.
I sadly agree. I was really thinking as inventory was creeping up on these dealerships, I'm like, man, we're right there, dude. We're already starting to see rebates on super duties. I saw a Ram the other day, 15, 18, 19,000 off MRC. I'm like, dude, we're right there. We're right there. But I'll tell you what, January 20th of next year, if there's a 25% increase where the Hurricane engine is made in Mexico, I mean, at this point, what I could see happening is if you're the manufacturer and you've already got a bunch of volume on dealership lots, my guess is you're going to see manufacturers just stop producing. I think you'll see Ram, Ford, GM, and them just be like, let's stop. Let's sell what's on dealership lots. They'll probably at that point, if you think about it, if you're going to run out of inventory in 3 months because you're going to burn up, why would you discount them? Because you're going to need that inventory 3 months from now. So it
Yep.
would make sense. This is just, I mean, I'm not a fortune teller, but if I had to guess right now, we might be in the best point for negotiating, like up until January 20th of next year. That, I mean, we
Agreed.
might have this small window right now to get the best deal.
I agree, and it's the best deal you're gonna get we've had in the last 5 years. Again, I mean, this is actually my 40th truck that I bought, the CR2 that we just got. You gotta be right there with me. You might even be more. Where you at? You gotta be somewhere in there too, probably closer to 50, huh?
We won't say.
Yes. But
Alyssa
point
wants to
being,
pistol whip me every time we talk about trucks.
right. Well, like I said, I think you've owned every single Raptor ever generation of Raptor, and I think you've owned some of them 2 or 3 times.
Or
So, but the
five.
point, yeah, right. See, so the point is that, like I said, so we buy a lot of cars and we're flipping a lot of cars, and honestly, like I said, I don't think it gets better than it does right now. We have been waiting since the pandemic happened. We have been waiting for this to get here, and now that it's here, but also manufacturers realized how good it was just a couple of years ago
Yep.
for their bottom line and for their
Yep.
money and what they were doing, and they'd much rather sell fewer cars for MSRP than sell
Yep.
more cars for $20,000 losses. And they're like, we're not doing this, because every car they sell also has to be warranted, it has
Yep.
to be repaired, it has
Yep.
to be shipped, it has all these
Yep.
things. They're not making money this way, so it's going back
Agreed.
to closer to MSRP.
Yeah, and for all the people watching and watching in the future, if you're in the verge of thinking about upgrading, I would really say do your homework and think about it for yourself, what makes sense. But with the supply chain interruptions we saw during COVID and how much it raised price, and now we've got 25% tariffs coming potentially. If that happens, I would fully expect, as long as you don't see a massive economic like slowdown where it's like the supply and demand kind of go down, they work together. If the demand stays high while the supply drops, man, we're going to see big price increases on vehicles. I mean, big. Forget,
Back to ADMs,
yeah,
you know.
100%. I really, so when you see a Super Duty marked down 12 grand right now, I could see it being the 12 grand up plus some, which already 25 model year is up 3 to 4 grand. So you could, in 2 months, you might be buying the same truck for 20,000 bucks more.
And you get less with the new stuff that's coming out for 2025. Like
Unbelievable.
I said, remember a Lariat? As long as I've been alive,
Yep.
a Lariat has been leather seats. Now
I know.
Lariat means vinyl,
Active
you know?
X. Active. It's and to me, actually, in a way, welcome it, because I know that Active X is like durable and whatnot, but it's
Yep.
kind of like saying, you could have this really nice stove and it's going to cook great food really good, but then you could get this microwave that could do just as good, but it's a quarter of the price, but you're not getting a discount. And it kind of frustrates you because, and I'm not saying a stove is going to cook,
Right.
obviously worse, but you get my point. You're getting a lower cost product for the same price, and that infuriates me.
Yeah.
And it's
You know,
not
I
just them. I look at what GM has done. Ram is doing the exact same thing. You're seeing eliminate like ambient lighting inside of these, or lighting options, or what is the one I saw the other day? It blew my mind. I think it was one of the GM trucks. They now got rid of the dual exhaust. So if you're a guy that likes the dual exhaust, which me personally, I don't. I actually like the single exhaust out of the GM more.
mhm.
That's an upgrade now.
Yep. Yeah, it's getting unreal. And like I said, and then the part stuff too. I mean, again, I just got done watching a video that was talking about a guy, a mechanic, and he was working on a new GM truck, and he accidentally broke the door handle on there. His fault. He says it, my fault. He calls up GM. He wants to order another part for that. He's a mechanic. He wants to get that door handle in. No, can't get it. You have to buy the whole entire door card. The whole inside of the door has to be bought. Imagine he said in there, imagine if a window switch goes out. I can't just buy the window switch. I got to spend $800 on the whole door card, and replace the whole
Yep.
thing. That's the world we live in today. They remember technical cost reduction. That's what all these brands are doing. Then it's basically peeing down your back and telling you it's raining. It's leaving it look fancy, but it's hiding the reality of it. That Active X, I'd rather have it. I wanted it when I wanted a Bronco Everglades, because it's perfect for me as an outdoorsman.
Yep.
I'm covered in mud, covered
Yep.
in bug spray, covered in everything. The last thing I want is leather seats. That's why I run truck seat covers. But just because I want it doesn't mean that you should be putting it in a truck that costs more, and you're getting less for it. I mean, it's a lariat. It's
So
like,
here's a question for you. I'm curious your thoughts on this. Let's say you are a truck buyer, midsize full size HD. What do you do right now? Like I've been in this situation. I've been talking about. So for those of you guys watching, if you're not watching, you're familiar with the channel. I've had a Ram 2025 Ram 1500 RHO on order for like 8 months now, and it was supposed to have been built 2 months ago. I purposely did not want to influence anybody big. Hey, I'm a YouTuber. Like, give me this truck. I need to do content. I just want to kind of wait like a normal human and see when this thing comes in and hope that it happens. But it is what it is. With that being said, I'm at the point where I can't wait any longer. It's snowmobile season. It's wintertime. I need a reliable truck for pulling, towing. I got to go. And I'm at the point where Ford Super Duty pricing and Ford right now. Dude, I'm wearing my Ford hat, but it frustrates the crap out of me and the quality of these trucks right now. GM is not any better. I feel like Ram, not any better. And you worry about the brand. Toyota, they're getting motor replacements. Man, what do you do right now? Like, do you just try to buy a used truck and just hope for the best and maybe gamble with warranty and hope you're not picking up someone else's problems? Like, I don't even know what the right answer for people is.
Here's the scary part about used too. Now, both of us, we never shied away from used, especially if the deal was good in the past. The problem I have with used today is the fact that is the 10,000 mile oil change intervals, that kind of stuff. You just never know what you're getting from somebody anymore. Even with the Carfax, it scares me. I'm not comfortable with it. And
Yep.
I don't treat my trucks that way. I'm not doing 10,000 mile oil change increments on them. I want this stuff to last. And for the people out there that are looking again for a long-term truck, at least there's half of the world that wants to just buy it, drive it for a few years, get rid of it, get a new one. That's what they do. Always
Yep.
have a car payment, not a care in the world. They budget for it. The other half wants to buy it, drive it till the wheels fall off, or drive it for many years and then replace it with something again. That second half of people are getting the shaft here because, like I said, you got 10,000 mile oil changes. You don't know how people are taking care of stuff. They're not built as well. It's a very tough position to be in, and you nailed it. Every brand out there has got major issues right now. Ford's got 50 recalls under their belt already. Right now, Ram's got problems. Jeep's got problems. Like you said, Toyota's got problems. Tundras and the Tacomas. All these things are there, and it's always seems to be little cheaty workarounds, not true solving the problems. It's just like even like the corrosion on my Gladiator. I don't have it on mine, but on the Gladiators and the Wranglers, a corrosion in the hinges. It's been going on so long. Yet Jeep is just like, you know what? We'll warranty it and sweep it under the rug because by 2029, the
It's a
J70
new
is coming
design.
out. We're going to replace it. So tell them let's just sweep that under the rug here. We'll warranty the issues that come in.
Yeah.
No brand takes care of anybody anymore. You got Toyota, GR, you got the Corolla GRs catching on fire, and they're telling them, well, you went over 85 miles an hour, two of them. And they're like, it's a race car. I mean, you gave me a track day to race it. And now you're telling me because of the tires that are on it, and I went over 85 and my motor caught on fire, you won't warranty it. It's this kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
all shade.
Yeah.
It's a bad industry right now.
I tell you, if it's like if you're just doing everything you can to try to figure out how to muster up the money to pay for something, gosh, what a frustrating time. It's the most expensive time to buy a vehicle. The quality's the lowest it's been, and people are financially up against it more than they've been. I mean, it's a really hard time. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I truly think, after thinking about this for like the last 24 hours, if this tariff takes place and is implemented for any amount of time in 2025, and if that includes transfer components for tier one automotive, tier two, tier three automotive suppliers, or vehicles coming out of Mexico, guess what vehicles come out of Mexico? Escalade, Silverado, Sierra, some Nissan vehicles, the Ram 2500, 3500, the Hurricane engines. Dude, you're going to
All
see
the Toyotas, every
Toyotas, you're
Toyota
going to
truck.
see massive price increases on these vehicles. Guaranteed. I guarantee it.
Yep.
So,
And what does somebody do then? How
yeah,
does that work? Like I said, that's part of the reason I'm holding on to my Forerunner. I mean, if
yeah,
the sky falls out on this stuff and everything goes up in high value like that, it's perfect. I'll sell every truck I have and I'll get like an e-bike and I'll cruise around on that if I could
yeah,
get double the price.
yeah. Hey,
That's
and those eggs are really expensive. I got a
right.
buddy I've been teasing, telling him, I'm like, man, have you seen the price of eggs in the last years? We buy a lot of eggs, and I see the pricing at Costco, And I'm like, all right, this 5 dozen used to be $6, and then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10, then 11, then 12. And it's just, I'm not seeing it go down. And now they're saying eggs are going up again or something. So
Yeah. Well, look at butter.
I
You
know
know, look at.
butter, dude, $15 for whatever a stick of butter at Costco now is ridiculous.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
yeah, it's going to
That
be interesting. I really, it's going to create a supply chain mess. And because of that, prices will go up because demand will go up, supply will drop. So for people on the fence thinking about buying a vehicle, I definitely do your homework, think about it. There's a chance we might be in a short window right now where this might be a small window for savings, or you got to wait some time.
Yep. Now, as far I got a question for you on that kind of stuff because you do buy a lot of vehicles, things like that too. What do you think for the people that are on the fence as far as, should I go with a base model trim, a work truck, something like that, and use it because I'm going to save money on it? Is that more risky than, or should I go with something like you do with a Raptor, that kind of stuff on there? You had many Raptor F-150s, you had the Bronco F-150s, you're looking at Platinum F-150. You've owned a lot of these higher trim level ones. Do you think it's smarter if they can afford it to go that way as far as resale value, things down the road? Which way you think these guys should go? For that are out there looking for this stuff.
I really think you got to think about the market and the way things are going. As an example, typically, not always, like I look at like F-150 XLTs or Ram Bighorns, typically those vehicles get hit harder on resale than Lariats, Laramies, and Platinums because there's more leases and there's more volume of those lower trim level trucks. With that being said, that's like normal economy or improving economy times. As it improves, you see people want more expensive trucks. They don't want their base XLT. It's a sweet truck, but people just want more. If we see a slowdown, though, I could see people wanting less of those premium trucks. I do still think if you can afford an HD truck, I always believe an HD truck is a more safe bet than a half ton because you can't lease them. And the people that are buying them generally are using them for work, and there's more necessity for it than a soccer mom, soccer dad buying an F 150 that a minivan can do the trick. There's more, it seems like the HD trucks like Cummins and Power Strokes, Duramaxes, all that, it seems like that, if you can muster up the money, is safer. Raptor right now, man, I love my Raptors. They're awesome. Got two here right now. I think they'd steer clear of that right now just because the competition's coming so hard on the Raptor. All I see is price reductions for the future in the Raptor. Unless Ford's got a huge secret coming, I hope they do. Maybe a Coyote Raptor or something. I just think all I see for 24 and 25 on an F 150, unless Ram totally bombs the RHO and it's a total piece of crap, or maybe the company just falls apart, they're gonna lose market share. There's no doubt in my mind. That's my opinion.
Yep. And you hit on something there that's pretty impressive also. I've talked about it in a lot of videos. People always ask, what would you buy for a full size truck? What full size truck would you buy? I won't buy a full size. I'm going straight to the HD. I'm the same way. And I also, unless you're towing heavy, me personally, I don't want another diesel. I'm just afraid. I love the diesels that Cummins that I had that you have. Amazing motors, amazing trucks, but I'm so afraid today with all the emission stuff, the cost of repairs being so high. I'm just afraid to own one with everything in there versus owning a gas one. But when it comes to the HD versus full size, like you said, there's a lot less HD trucks for sale than there is full size. So the competition is way less. The market drives a lot higher. You get a lot of truck, you got a lot of dependability, and they're almost the same price today. You can buy
Yep.
well, been looking at Tremors too. You can get an F-250 7.3 Tremor for less than you can get an F-150
I know. I
Tremor.
know. I
I
know.
mean,
It
it's
it's
like,
funny you
and
say
it's a
that. So
no-brainer.
I have a buddy that just bought an F-150 Tremor 50, sweet truck. And that's the way to, in my opinion, if you're gonna order a Tremor, why would you not get the V8?
Hmm.
Awesome truck. He tows also travel trailer. Now, the downside to an HD 250, 350 Tremor versus a 150 is it is longer and it is taller and it doesn't have as good a steering radius. So if you're in the city, your parking structures, man, 250 is a monster to be maneuvering around. With that being said, we priced a 7.3 Tremor F250 Lariat versus a Ford F150 402A, very similar technology. Super Duty Tremor 7.3 was lower priced. And I'm like, You got to be kidding me. You can get an F-250 for less money than an F-150. How do you justify that? Now,
Yeah.
you could say with fuel savings, I mean, a 150 is going to get substantially better fuel economy, but
True, but on the same note, when you look at it, how most people today drive less than 10,000 miles a year. So that
yeah,
fuel savings isn't going to be quite that significant. And
yeah,
then on the same note, too, when you look at those two trucks and you look at what you're getting out of it, the extra payload, the tow capacity, the room in it, the space in the bed going, even if you just go with a 6 foot, but that more space back there, the ability to, like I said, what you can do with it, man, and the resale value is way better on a
yep,
HD truck than
yep,
than it is on a full size. Like I said, I'm not knocking full size.
sure,
I think full size truck has gone from what it used to be, where it was a work truck and used for stuff, to becoming the new minivan, like you said, to becoming the new family station wagon. And,
yep,
and that's how I did it. That's why I raised my whole family over a period of 9 F-150s.
yep,
That's what we did because they had a lot of room, a lot of space. You get the FX4, you had the rear locker. I always change the tires on them. They did great for northern Michigan woods and all the stuff I did up there, but yet they were the ultimate family vehicle. Plush, comfortable, served you well. We've had the 5.4 Tritons, the 5 liter, the 2.7, the 3.5. Every
yep,
F-150 was amazing. But
yep,
you look at the cost of it compared to the other stuff out there, and Ram's no different. Look what you can do out there. You
yep,
can get a tradesman power wagon, a tradesman's version of a power wagon for literally like 20 grand less than you can get a Rebel for. you
yeah.
know?
I know. Yeah, you know what's going to be interesting is my cousin, he's got the Ford Maverick, and I don't know if you ever drove one or not. It won't work for a lot of guys that use have trucks in any heavy capacity. But if you just need some payload, man, they're super capable. He said to me the other day, he goes, "Man, why doesn't Ford put a 5.5 foot bed on a Maverick? That'd be a home run." And I'm like, dude, you're not kidding. There's a lot of people that just need that bed. If they put a 5.5 foot bed on the Maverick, and now you can get an all wheel drive and 40 miles per gallon. You want to talk about a truck that they sell a ton of? I mean, they already sell a ton of Mavericks, but imagine that setup: $30,000 and you get 40 miles per gallon. It'd be pretty sweet.
Have you drove a Maverick? Have you
I
been in them?
have. I haven't driven. I haven't. I don't. No, I have not driven the hybrid version. In my opinion, if you're going to get a Maverick, I'd only get the hybrid because that's the whole point of the vehicle is fuel economy. And it's like
Right.
a 15 mile per gallon improvement in the city for that. But I have driven the 2 liter and it's got good power. I just don't see the point of it at that point.
Right. Well, the truck itself, in my eyes, is an engineering marvel. I would never own one. It will never be something that could do what I need it to. But when you're in it, you look at the things that it does right, even on the outside. The bed has got the toe downs, the tie downs in the right place. Nothing pisses me off more than when a truck does not have low tie down points in a corner. I'm trying to tie gear down. I don't want to tie it across. And
Yep.
there's a lot of trucks today that cut those out. They don't have them.
Yep.
Maverick's got amazing tie downs in it, amazing bed function. The inside of that thing has got some of the best use of cab space. I've never seen 10 pounds of crap stuffed in a 5 pound bag as they do in there. They give you every ounce and nook and cranny is so perfectly laid out in it. I think the Maverick is an engineering marvel when it comes to
Yeah.
what they've done with it. And it's such a, like you said earlier with the F-250s, with the HD trucks. You can't park them very well. They don't go through Walmart. They don't go through the city. They don't parallel park on the town. They don't do very good at that stuff.
Yep.
Where this Maverick shines at that. And yet you could throw a couple of bikes in the back end in a camp setup and go out for the weekend and go do fun stuff. It gives you that option. I think the Maverick's great. The only problem with the Maverick is Ford. Ford started it out as a $20,000 truck
Yeah.
and made it perfect. And then the
Yeah.
next
Now
thing
it's
you know, now
30.
it's a $30,000 truck
I
3 years
know.
later. You know,
I'm with you. Yeah. Hey, so speaking of this, so you've been a Ford guy forever. And this is at least since I've known you in 15 to 20 years. I can't think of the last time you bought a GM truck. So for you to jump to a GM, and I know you researched the crap out of this, I'm really curious. I mean, this is a big purchase. Number one, the truck looks sick. For anybody, you guys got to check out Jason's channel. He does some amazing content off road and all this stuff. But he just bought a really cool new Colorado ZR2. And is it called Sand or Sandstorm or what is it called?
Uh, yeah, it's like sand dune or desert dune
Sand
or
Dune.
something. I don't even know. It's Tina picked it. She wanted that color, which made me work hard because there was only 6 of them within 500 miles of me, and only 3 optioned with the sunroof, which she said was
Yep.
mandatory.
Yep. Hey, so I got some questions here about the Muppets. So some funny conversations here. You can carry 8 bales of hay in the back of a Maverick, at least 7 Muppets in a Maverick. I'd say at
That's
least
perfect.
7, maybe 9.
It depends how you stacking them.
Yeah, but I'm curious. So, I don't know if you looked at the old Colorado versus the new Colorado, but I mean, in ways it's the same truck, but in other ways it's a lot different. I'm curious, kind of what landed you on the Chevrolet, ZR2, and why you went with that, and how you think that would compare. Like, if you could have that same truck today without the 2.7 turbo, or you could add the old 3.6, the V6, which would you have went with?
This is pretty easy, from the fact that, see, I needed the ZR2 on purpose because, again, people that don't know, I'm in the swamps. I hunt for a living, so I am out there for 200 to 300 miles a week in nasty peanut butter mud and all this crap all the time, and I need a truck that can do it. So for me, front lockers are mandatory. I cannot get it by without the front lockers, and the ZR2 offers it. However, even though I had one of these on order before I got my Gladiator, but GM took too long to get it delivered, so I finally gave up and I bought my Gladiator. But Tina, I was doing a video review on this, and she said when she was in the car when I was doing it, she's like, when I was done, she's like, "Hey, what is that red one right there?" And I told her, and she's like, "Can I go check that out?" She fell in love with it, so I bought it. We bought her a different color, but we bought it. But as far as the truck itself, there isn't any competition in the mid-size world that's going to match it because of the front lockers that it has, the capability, other than the Gladiator and the Ranger Raptor. Ranger Raptor is near impossible to find for MSRP. You can, but it's very hard, very difficult. And Ranger Raptor is got a lot of tech in it. There's
Yeah.
sensors on the suspension. There's so much that maybe isn't perfect for what I need in the mud.
Yep.
Great for deserts, great for climbing, great for off-road. But when you start packing everything with mud, I fear what's going to happen with it. Where the ZR2 is a little more simpler and archaic in its design there. So that's what we liked about it. But um, as far as comparing it to the old one in the motor, honestly, you know what? This 2.7 is amazing. The 2.7, I like the way it's been built. It's been out for 5 years. It's proven itself in a Silverado. The thing is a beast, and it gets abused in the Silverado tremendously, and then gets put into Colorado. I like the 2.7. As far as a 4-cylinder turbo, there is only 2 of them out there that I like a lot. One is this 2.7. The other one is Ford's 2.3 because it's been out forever and is very well proven. Um,
Man, and I would take the GM 2.7 over the Ford 2.3 all day long. I know
yeah,
GM engineered the crap out of that 2.7. They made that motor, designed it, that it has to work in a half-ton truck.
yeah.
Ford never made the 2.3 capable of putting in a half-ton. So in my opinion, I just think it's a super superior powertrain. But you like natural aspirated engines. The old ZR2 had the 3.6. Before we jump to that, I want to answer this because someone has a question here. Is it safe to buy a 2025 Tundra or wait to buy a 2026? Just my opinion here. If you've got a reliable vehicle and you can stretch it another year, I would wait because number one, nobody really knows the resale impacts of this engine recall that's going to happen. If people jump ship and there's 100,000 Tundras that people are like, dude, screw Toyota, we're out. Man, that's going to drop the price of those trucks. And so maybe you could get a deal on a used one if you feel comfortable after they replace the engine. That's just my opinion. I would want Toyota to prove this situation out. I don't know if I'd want to be a guinea pig right now. That I don't know. What do you think, Jason? I mean, you follow the Toyota stuff quite a bit.
I believe personally that this gen Toyota, the 2022, 20, all the way up, these new Toyota Tundras, I think they're a great truck. However, they are built to new Toyota standards, not to the old Toyota standards. The Toyota has made a jump from Toyota's always been what's made them great was they were archaic, underpowered, sluggish, didn't change anything, and always just repeated the same thing over and over again. And people loved it because they were quality that way, and they were affordable. The new Tundra jumps into a whole new realm that Toyota's not used to, not very good at, struggling with that kind of stuff. We see the problems they're having. So for me personally, I Toyota, I think the Tundra is kind of risky right now, especially with what we had happen 22s, 23s. Now the 2024s are in. They haven't really announced it much for the hybrids. It seems that this issue they're having is they're not giving us the information. It's part of, like I said earlier, they piss me off because they're not giving us anything. They're not transparent in reality. So I would shy away from the Tundra right now for a little while if you can. I do believe it's a good truck, especially in today's world where all trucks are kind of shoddy. But if you're coming from a last gen Tundra or Toyota and you're like, "Oh, I only buy Toyota because Toyota's amazing," and you're going to buy one of these new ones, you're going to be in for kind of a shell shock there. It's not the Toyota that you're used to. It's Toyota that is now like all other brands, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Mix in these problems with it. We already know that a 21 Tacoma or a 21 Tundra with 50,000 miles on it is worth more and sells for more on dealer lots than a 2022 Tundra with 10,000 miles on it
It's just
does. We're
wild.
talking $5,000 more.
Yeah.
So the resale value is not there on the,
Yeah.
again, it's just the way that it is. But Toyota
Yeah.
is no longer what Toyota was.
Yep.
They're still great, but they're not
Yep.
what they were.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? It was probably a year or two ago. I got a chance to do some towing with a new Tundra with the new their EcoBoost engine, whatever it's called, with Tundra Max or something like that, the three
Yep.
four. Number one, I was really impressed. The power was great. The transmission shifted awesome. The truck actually interior was a huge improvement. I like that. But the number one thing I could not stand about the truck, and it hit me right in the face as soon as it hit the start of this. I'm curious if you know what it is.
Go, you gonna say turning radius?
No, no, no. As soon as you start up the new Toyota Tundra with the V6, the sound they pump into the speakers to make it sound what an American, what a real man would like, they
You
made
make it
it
sound like a
sound like
V8.
an international harvester combine. It sounds it's maybe they've changed it since then, but this specific truck, I'm like, this thing's idling, and I feel like I'm listening to an old school combine next to me. It sounded so stupid and fake.
You're right. No, well, wasn't Ford the first one that started doing that? I think it was Ford first started doing it with
Ford
the
did it for
150.
sure in the Raptor because they were
Yep.
so worried about the Raptor sounding terrible, which it sounded terrible in 2017. So they pumped in sound, and a lot of different companies do this.
Yep.
But normally it's like brought in as you're accelerating. This was just you start it up and it's idling, and you hear this, and you're like, what is going on in the cabin? I thought that was weird, but I like the truck. In all fairness, I think it looks good. I really think the Tundra too, size wise, I don't know if you've noticed it. It feels a lot smaller than the Ford, the Ram, and the GM. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like like a 90% size of those trucks. So if you need a little bit smaller full size, some people might like that more.
Yep. And it is a good truck. But
Yep.
again, what I hear more and more on my channel is they've been Toyota fans their entire life and they've owned 6, 7 Toyotas and they've always been solid. Then they jump to this and their whole world is different. Okay. It's just
Yep.
that, like I said, Toyota has made a major shift in who they want to be,
Yep.
what they want to appeal to, and you may not be happy with it, or you might. Some people love
Yeah.
it. Again, some people were very fed up with. I know you, Barry. We've talked about it many times. You're like, you know what? They were fast, but they sucked on gas. They were really bad at this. They're not comfortable. They don't like this, the paint. And you'd say all these things, and many people feel that way. So they change that, and like you said,
Yep.
the new one's got a better seating position, more power, more this, more that, and a lot of people love that, more tech.
Yep.
But so it appeals either way. But my opinion, right now is just a scary time for a Toyota truck. In my opinion, maybe
Yep.
better in a year from now.
Yeah. Well, and it's I feel like it's about any of them too right now. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's scary to be a man. People
Get
know I'm
an
a Ford
extended
fanboy if
warranty.
they follow my channel, but man, it's tough to be a Ford guy right now too. It's
Yep.
tough to be any of these brands right now. They're all so
Chevy,
struggling. It just pisses you right off.
right?
But yeah, I think if people can stretch it out a year, or if they're like, man, I can't, now might be the time to take advantage if you can negotiate a good deal and get a good warranty. And that's another thing. We should talk about warranty. Man, any of these new vehicles, it's got LED headlights, adaptive cruise. any of these sensors, dude, put a 150,000-mile warranty on it if you're going to keep it a long time. Because if a headlight goes out on a new Super Duty or any of these new vehicles with LEDs, it's a $1,500 headlight, $1,500 tail light. All this stuff is an insanely expensive if it fails out of warranty.
Agree 100%. I will not own a truck today without a factory extended warranty. It's got to be factory. I don't want
Yeah, no
car shield or
aftermarket.
anything like
Yep.
that. I want
Yep.
actual factory. Now, when you buy your factory warranty, don't buy it when you buy the truck unless you've already pre-done your research. Okay.
Yep.
So what I mean by that is when you're signing a deal or you're making a deal and all that kind of stuff, you got the VIN number, take that VIN number and start calling. Like if you have to, like Toyota won't sell you directly a warranty directly. They make you go through a dealer. Call 50 dealers across the entire country and give them your VIN number and get quotes on the warranty.
Yep.
Okay. Do the same thing for Ford for my Gladiator. You know, I got a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on that Gladiator from Mopar factory direct warranty. I got it for $1,200. You know,
That's
I'm
amazing.
expecting to get probably $2,000 for the same warranty on my my Chevy, but when I bought that Gladiator, they wanted $3,300 for that warranty at the dealer I bought it from. I'm like, no, thank you. I got it for $1,270. So make sure when you buy it the right way, you know, when you get
Dude,
it, but don't own a vehicle without it.
dude, you bring up a really good point that I swear to you, I feel like 99 out of 100 people don't know. Shop warranty pricing, because you always think when you go buy this brand new vehicle, this is the best price you're ever going to get on this warranty. From what I've seen, that's not true, especially if you go to like floodford.esp. That's where I bought a lot of these. Dude, their pricing will be 60% less than what the dealer, with an exception. We picked up a certified pre-owned vehicle a year or so ago, a Lincoln. And dude, their pricing, I checked, they beat Flood Ford ESP for coverage. And I was impressed because that's one of the first dealerships I've seen that's given fair pricing on a legit OEM warranty, not aftermarket. So
Yep,
price shop your warranties.
for sure. That's well, like on my Gladiator, the dealer I bought the Gladiator from wanted $3,300 or whatever it was for the warranty. And actually, I got the 1270 warranty from a dealer in Michigan. You know, so if you were actually going to that dealer in Michigan to buy the Gladiator, you would have probably got that price on a warranty. So that's why I
Yeah,
say shop them ahead of time before you know what you're getting beforehand, but shop them. So many people take, like you said, they don't know any different. They assume this is the price that you're
yep,
going to pay, you know, and it doesn't have to be that way. Warranties and everything that happens in the F&I department are where they get you the most. Everything is at
yeah,
least 50% markup, you know.
yep. Another topic I want to bring up to you. Have you had a chance yet to test drive or do any driving at all or towing with the GM HD AT4X or ZR2? Because I think, in my opinion, that's the baddest HD truck out right now. I freaking love, with the same suspension on your ZR2. It's just the bigger version of it, but I think that truck is awesome.
I have not drove one. I have seen bunches of them, and I've done some video reviews of them on outside stuff. But and I do like them a lot. The ZR2 in Colorado, the ZR2 in Silverado, love them. The ZR2 in the HD truck, it gets you a electronic rear locker, but you don't get the front locker. And remember, like I said, front locker is my whole
Yeah, it's a
world.
big deal for you. Yep.
Correct. And
Yeah.
now you also, but on the flip
Hmm.
side, it's the only HD truck with a independent
Perfect.
front suspension, which for many people that aren't off
I know.
road is worth gold. If you're not I mean, the F-150 and the Cummins are going to be amazing. Beat them. Farm truck, work truck, construction truck. Use them hard. Do it
Yep.
and get it done with that front axle and the way it's set up and the capabilities. That Chevy is like the ultimate. You know, tow-in, ride comfort. I mean, I
Yep.
love that. And the ZR2 is amazing. I actually kind of like the Trail Boss that just came out a little more because you're saving some big money.
True.
One of my viewers pointed out to me though, because I didn't think about it, but at least the ZR2 you get an electronic rear locker, in a HD, in a Trail Boss you're going back to like a G80. So it's kind of interesting scenario. But I
They're
in an
both good in
HD
different
truck,
ways.
yeah.
Yeah. So this will it to 1211. What are your thoughts on the Duramax GM engine? I've owned 3 or 4 Duramaxes of a few different generations, and I have a feeling this RJ who's following, I think he's a Duramax guy. Um, I have towed now 2 or 3 times with the 3-liter Duramax. The 3-liter Duramax to me is awesome. That is such a phenomenal little engine. Great power, great performance. It's quiet. I love that engine. The only downside I've seen to the 3-liter diesel, and I just recently figured out why this is the case, is the DEF consumption with towing. It's insane. I mean, if you tow a trailer 1,000 miles, I think we went through like 8 gallons of DEF in 1,000 miles, which is nuts. Whereas I could go pull a trailer 3 times heavier with a Duramax, the big Duramax, or the big Cummins, or the only Cummins, or the Power Stroke, and use a quarter of that. And it's because I guess that you're pushing that little motor so hard, it needs so much DEF to make it meet emissions. Now the new LZO little Duramax, if you're referring to, it sounds like they've made people more comfortable with the engine durability of the, I think it's the timing belt or something, or oil belt, something. There's a belt, I don't know if it's what it is, but the belt timing chain maybe, but it's a timing belt, doesn't need replaced until like 200,000 miles now instead of 150,000. I think they've addressed a lot of the problems they had with the early 3-liter diesel. If you're not towing a lot, or you're not towing super heavy, and you do a lot of highway driving, I think the 3-liter, in my opinion, is one of the best half-ton engines out there. I love it. I think it's awesome. Big Duramax, also a really, really good engine. I think it's probably the most fuel efficient from all the videos I've done. I swear the Duramax always gets the best fuel economy. It's got the 10-speed trans behind it. If you want all-out performance, but you want to give up a little bit of fuel economy, the new HO Power Stroke, I think, it's on a whole nother level. The thing's an animal. And another question: Super Duty versus GM Gasser. Man, if you guys watch my channel, you know I'm a huge, huge fan of the 7.3 Godzilla. I think it's awesome. Absolutely awesome. I mean, it's basically a General Motors LS engine before they went LT. You got port fuel injection, simple. You got cammed, or what do you, not overhead cam, just a pushrod V8, simple. And you got a 10-speed trans behind it. Great. I like everything about that. I wish it had more years under its belt for reliability, because you heard about some of those early failures, blah, blah, blah. I think GM, generally speaking, in that heavy duty gas market, I think they've crushed it for 20 years. I mean, I was talking about one brother the other day, they got like 20 work trucks or something with these 6-liter gas engines. They've never had any of these engines fail. 250, 300,000 miles on them, but they don't have one of the new LT engines with direct injection and all this multi-fuel port bull crap. And it's like, when you take the modern GM 6.6, how does that compare to the old 6.0? Personally, I'd go the old 6.0. I think that thing is stout and reliable and simple. But if I had to go the GM 6.6 or the Ford 7.3, I think I'm going Godzilla.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
Yep.
you do the same?
I love the 7.3, and look at Bluebird buses. Just what did they buy? Like thousands and thousands of the 7.3s to run their buses,
Really?
even.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the school buses. But that 7.3 is a marvel motor. It'll be one that goes down in history as far as I'm concerned. And if I was buying an HD truck, any Ford HD truck, I want the 7.3 in it myself too. 6.8 is
Yeah.
probably really good too, but
Yep.
it's basically detuned. But the 7.3 would be my go-to. Your
Yeah.
gas mileage is going to not be very good. What do you get, 11 miles all the time? But
Probably. Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I like that motor.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching, I got a video that's going to be coming in the next about a week and a half or so. I'm doing a 6.8 versus 7.3, a review. And I've been wanting to get my hands on the 6.8 for a while, mini Zilla, whatever you guys want to call it, people call it. I'll tell you, if most people didn't tell you it was a 6.8, I don't think they'd even know. I'll tell you,
Yep.
it's so darn close in performance that I think people are going to be pretty inclined to consider that for 25 on the Super Duty. But
I
what other
agree.
topics you want to talk about, Jay? I know we're getting at an hour mark.
We are about an hour, and now I got to think about it. I was just lost listening to you and learning and talking
Yeah.
about
So this
diesels.
person, while you're thinking about that, I'll stick to my Toyota Land Cruiser, 617,000 miles owned since new. Dude, that's incredible. I mean, I believe it. I 100% believe it. I want to see more stories like that where people are saying they're getting a ton of miles on them, because I just feel like we don't see as many of those stories anymore.
And again, it goes back to what a vehicle, look at a Land Cruiser from that, look what a Land Cruiser was and what a Land Cruiser is today. Look,
Yep.
look at the differences in what they've become and who they're now geared for. It's a
Yep.
whole different world. Like we were talking earlier about the truck stuff, everything about them. Remember when Ford went to aluminum? Look at what that did with everybody and how all
Yep.
that was. They were dropping toolboxes in them, and
Yep.
not ripping. And and what remember I don't remember what year it was I had, but remember I put that kayak rack on it, and I don't remember what it was I hit. I touched something. A tree. Just barely touched it. It just peeled the whole entire side of it off.
I
Remember?
remember that. If I didn't live in the north where we have salty roads, I think I'd prefer a steel body personally.
Hmm.
I think it makes more sense. It seems like it's probably a little more less dent resistant and maybe a little stronger. I don't know. But living in Michigan, dude, having an aluminum body, I mean, you're already starting to see this. I'll see a 2015 F-150, thing's 10 years old, 200,000 miles on it. Dude, the bodies look perfect. Why? Because there's no rust on them. And you see competitive brands and you're already seeing rust on them. So I think from a resale standpoint, buying an aluminum body truck, I think is going to be a safe bet if you live in a northern climate.
Yeah. Well, and you travel down here a lot too. You go down to Florida a lot. You're down in Hilton Head a lot. You're down south quite a bit too. And with me living here, I'll tell you what, after living here, the amount of older vehicles that we see down here that look brand new is unbelievable compared to up north. You get into the salt belts and the snow belts, and they eat vehicles like for breakfast. Down
Yep.
here, I got, like I said, you see '90s pickup trucks. It looks like they just drove off the showroom floor, running around everywhere down here.
Hey,
Isuzu, and Datsuns,
right.
and it's
That's
like,
awesome. So, on a topic of rust, would you ever buy a Canadian vehicle?
no.
Yeah. Why though?
Well, two things I wouldn't want a Canadian vehicle for. One is because of the fact, well, again, remember this happens a lot down here. So, especially in Michigan, where you are. But, vehicles that were new in Canada, they'll then turn around and they'll ship them across the border and they'll sell them here as used. They redo and they put in a whole new dash panel in them and all that kind of stuff. And they try to sell them. You can't warranty them. You can't. It's all a scam and a game, and it comes back to bite you in the butt. I've fallen for it before. People that have fallen for it before.
Yep.
It's just not a good thing. Now, as far as the conditions up there, I don't think it's too bad because of the fact that actually I think a lot of places in Canada don't use salt. They stick with sand because a lot of it gets too cold that the salt doesn't work. So they're
Yep.
not trying to melt the snow, they're just trying to put traction on it with sand. So it's
Yeah.
probably not too super bad there like that. Um, I'm not 100% sure on that as far as the slush and as things like that go, but as far as be careful when you're buying a used car. You better be looking at you better be reading the Carfax. Don't just look at it and say, "Oh, one owner." That one owner might be Enterprise Rent a Car out of Canada.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother thing. And I see some comments here. I think there's a lot of truth in where the vehicle was in Canada. They might use some sand and you're good to go. But like I've seen a lot of vehicles come from like the Ontario area. And dude, you'll see a 2-year-old vehicle and I've never seen scaling on rust on brakes and it's stained off the brakes onto the rims of a 2-year-old vehicle and you're seeing it on the axles and you're like, dude, how old is this? And you're like, oh, it's 2 years old. And so I've gotten a little nervous of that personally, but I think it's like anything. If you just do your due diligence and you get underneath, you crawl around, you inspect it, you can snag a good deal. It probably doesn't really matter. Yeah, I see this Joe Martin in the UP, mini trucks are folded in half from rust. Holy cow, you're not kidding. We have seen some beat up, rusted up vehicles for sure in the Upper Peninsula.
And they're pushing the insurance companies, I'm assuming, or somebody's involved with it, but they're pushing harder. Salt more, salt more, salt more. And they
Yep.
don't want to just salt it when it's slippery. They want this salt caked onto the road so that nothing sticks anymore. I mean, it's literally, it's been 2.5 years since I've been in Michigan, but when I was there, like I said, it was crazy. Remember all the times that it was tradition. We'd fluid film our frames, all the time. Do all, it's just crazy what you had to go through to try and keep them protected. And then what year was it that Ram started e-coating their body panels? Was that 18,
2013,
19?
2013 and a half.
Was that how long ago it was?
Yep.
Yep, which is a brilliant thing right there too,
Yep.
that helped them start saving a lot of quarter panels and rockers.
Yep.
But like I said, I mean, if you live in a snow belt area, it's hard on cars. It's
Yep.
hard on trucks. It's tough. There's a reason a lot of people have still today, they have winter beaters, that
Yep.
they park their good car and drive the winter beater to get through the salt season.
I got an off the wall comment. I was just this Joe Martin reminded me in the UP. Do you remember when you and I went to the UP probably 20 years ago? I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And we were picking up a snowmobile and we're coming through Seney or something like that. And the road was pure ice. There's no
Yep.
braking. And I was pulling your trailer, brand new trailer. And we saw a deer cooking across this field. And we're watching this thing. And we're like, dude, this thing's going to hit us. And that sucker drilled the side of my truck and your trailer, and we're watching this thing just spin in the middle of the road. And we're get out, and I'm just like feeling terrible. I'm like, dude, I probably just destroyed your trailer. And you remember there was literally no damage because there was
He
so
hit your
much
wheel.
snow, and your
He
wheel
hit
it
yeah,
hit the wheel.
he
Yeah.
hit your wheel, bounced off your wheel, and then went underneath my trailer, which went over. We never no damage, but you could see where he literally ran right into your rear rim.
I
Yeah.
swear, if we would have been together, no one would believe that story. Like you hit a deer and it didn't leave a mark. There was just literally, I remember there was hair on the rim or tire or something
Yep.
like that. But and it didn't even damage your trailer because there's so much snow on the front. But yeah, the UP man, it is hard. It's hard on stuff up there.
We spent a lot of time up there, all of us have, sledding up there and being up there in some pretty tough conditions in the winter and traveling it from end to end, chasing the snowstorms and things like that too. It's a whole different world up there. People might get snow and they might think they know what's going on or something like that, but the UP is a whole different. What is it? Somebody might even comment, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 inches a year,
I think
of
I
snow.
think there's like 4 cities in the Western UP. I think, and Grand Marais might even be included as well. Sometimes they get close to 300 inches of snow. I
Yep.
know, like if you look at that, it's all in that Keweenaw Peninsula and whatnot. But
Right.
yeah, it's
Gwinnett and stuff like
yeah,
that.
for sure. Yeah, I was thinking about something. Imagine an electric vehicle in the UP. Number one, would that be a non-starter? But I'll give you an
How would it
example
work with the
where,
salt? Because the saltwater ones down here, when there's a hurricane, these EVs, they're catching on fire everywhere. People are
yeah,
literally calling up people and they're like, "Hey, somehow get my EV out of my garage because if it gets water, if salt water hits it, they catch on fire."
yep.
How would that be any different in the UP and salt water or the salt snow?
Yeah,
I
that's a
wonder.
great question. You think about the salty water from the ocean. What if that stuff's spraying up off the wheels and somehow getting in a vent for the battery? Dang, you bring up a really good point. Joe says, "Yup, in Houghton to get over." Yeah, the Houghton Hancock area, 300 inches. I believe it. I hope we get some snow this year because this is going to be like devastation for tourism up there if they don't. I'll give you one area that could be incredible for electric vehicles in snowy climates. They're so freaking heavy. Imagine the traction you could potentially have. I mean,
Very
they
true.
weigh as much as a 1-ton dually, but you're still on 4 tires.
That is very true. That would be a very good thing. But I
Yeah.
do wonder about and I'm sure they figured this stuff out. But again, like I said, we've had 2 hurricanes happen just recently down here. And we got, literally it's all over the news. EVs catching on fire everywhere. They're literally right on the lots, boom, just
Yeah.
going up because of the salt water.
Yep.
How would that be any different than going down Minnesota and being in Minnesota or Michigan or Chicago even and driving around on the salty roads with all that salt spray everywhere, getting into everything? How would that be any different? I wonder.
Yep.
That's very interesting.
That's a great point. Getting some questions here. Thank you, Joe, on the 300 inches global warming. Dude, there's definitely something going on. I don't know if it's global warming or just we're in this weird era of like years of change, but there definitely feels like in Michigan we're getting less snow, at least for the last few years. Question on the RHO. Are you afraid of CEL owners are already reporting problems? Dude, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's one of my worries with the RHO being brand new. And people say this motor's brand new. It's actually not. This motor's been out for 3 model years. They've made 10 or 15,000 of these already on the Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer. I'm not so worried about that motor. I actually think it's pretty solid. Got a video on this coming soon to kind of combat some of the misinformation on the Hurricane, specifically around water pumps and thermostats. But am I afraid of getting a check engine light? Number one, I don't know when I'm going to get it. I talk about that at the beginning of this video, which is frustrating. Um, am I afraid of getting a check engine light? Yeah, I'm going to get a little annoyed if I'm getting ticky tacky stuff because I do have a buddy and I've done some videos on his truck that has a 25 Hurricane standard output. He's already had a few weird things come on this truck. He likes the truck. He likes the power. He likes the fuel economy. He came from a 2022 Ram 1500 Hemi before this. And he's like, dude, the power's great. He's like, I miss the sound of the exhaust. But he goes, I had zero problems in a 3-year lease, 40,000 miles on that. And he's like, I've already had this thing in. This power steering's went out twice. I'm getting little goofy lights just randomly on the dash here and there. So it is a concern of mine. And I'll be honest with you, I'm watching the forums, I'm watching this, and it's gonna be a judgment call. If this thing comes in and I don't feel right, dude, I'm gonna say bye, Felicia. I'm just gonna pass. I'm not getting it because I've done this before and I haven't followed my gut, and then I regretted it later. And I feel if you have a vehicle, even if you order it and it comes in and you waited a long time, if it doesn't feel right, don't force it. There's a reason that things are happening the way they are. Take it for a test drive, and if just pass on it, who cares? So that would be my answer. Hope that helps some.
I think it's
Oh,
got a lot
yeah.
of potential. I think that motor's got a ton of potential, and I bet
Yes.
5 years from now, it's absolutely amazing, and it'll be one of those
100%.
ones. It'll be like the Pentastar, where it started out a little rocky, but then it
Yep.
goes down in history as like one of the best motors ever made. I
I
think
know.
you're same thing with the Hurricane, same thing with the 7.3.
Yep.
That I think that's what it's going to be, especially with how smooth. And I
I
love the
know,
i6,
dude.
but right
I'm,
now, kind of you're a guinea pig. It's a little risky.
yeah.
We don't know.
I know. I've spent some times working with the Mopar guys and talking to these guys, and they're telling me about the internals on this Hurricane, and they're like, "Dude, forged internals. Everything is beefed up. Everything especially on the high output version." I think as long as there's not some Achilles tendon that we don't know about, I think this Hurricane is going to be a motor. Like you said, people are going to say, "Dude, the Hemi was good because we liked the exhaust and it was simple." There's no comparison. This Hurricane's going to be an animal power wise. But at the same time, a lot of people that like the Hemi just wanted a simple, reliable engine. They might not care about gimmicky more power and better fuel economy. They just might want a simple engine. And on that topic, I talked about this last week. Curious to get your opinion. Do you think a Hemi is coming back in a Ram 1500 or any V8 for a Ram 1500?
I don't think it is. I think it would be wonderful if it does. I get a lot of comments on my channel, people telling me it's coming back. It's coming back. I even get them telling me that Toyota's putting a V8 back in the Tundras. You hear a lot of this stuff, but I just I well, you know as well as I do, this industry never looks back and it never goes backwards. It only goes forward. So, and with the tooling switches over already and all that kind of stuff done and everything that would be involved with that, it's not just a matter of just dropping it back in. I don't
Yep.
think we'll ever see that. In what and again, I don't get political on my stuff either. And whatever happens with Trump and the new administration and any changes they make may be good, bad, or indifferent and amazing things. But they're not going to be here forever. So the EPA, all this stuff, they play a much longer game than this. So, and
Yep.
manufacturers have to think about that. They're not making 2025s right now, or they're building, but they're not caring about. They've already designed a 2026s and 2027s. They're working on a 2028s. They're so far ahead of us
Yeah.
that it doesn't even matter to what's going on and what we're experiencing here. It's like AI. There's stuff we see in AI right now, but it's like, oh, it's moving so fast. AI, what we see is already 5 generations past what's coming out tomorrow. We
I
don't,
know.
or what's coming out, and we don't even, it's not even here yet. So that's the way the automotive world works. They're testing 27, 28, 29 stuff right now. They're not even playing with this. So I don't think they're ever going backwards. And a motor that was in a truck will not come back to it.
That's my thought too. I think, especially with Ram, um, yeah, and Toyota, I can't see Toyota doing that either. That would be make no, especially with Toyota, it just doesn't make sense. It'll be really interesting to see now if there are relaxing regulations or anything. Do people lean into a little bit more of ICE engines? I think what's going to be really interesting is watching GM. They've always had pretty good, reliable engines. Their V8s have been around forever, the small blocks. They've been making like slight little iteration changes the last 5-10 years. But you keep reading about all these rumors online about there's a new engine coming. Dude, GM might bring the last best V8 to the market. And if they did, the timing of this in the next few years, if that's the case, could be a slam dunk on the competition if you think about it. Because I don't think Ford will make another V8 again. 5-liter Coyote's on its fourth generation. If anything, they'll make it a hybrid. That'd be my guess. They're not going to go and remake this engine. They've got other engines to work on. I do also think I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Ford 3.5 EcoBoost go away. I
Really?
think I this is my theory on it. Do you really need a 2.7? Actually, what's the base motor anymore? Is it 3.3 still, or do
I
they?
don't
No,
think
they might not
I
make
don't
that
think they have a
anymore.
V6. I think it's the 2.7 is the base.
So you got two. So you used to have 3.3, 2.7, 3.5, Power Boost, 5.0. You had all these different engines. But if you really think about it, 2.7 and 3.5, they're fairly close. 3.5 gets you more tow rating, but you could replace 3.5 with Power Boost. Why, if you think about it, do you really need? Why wouldn't you just do your low cost 2.7 EcoBoost, your
With a power
3.5,
boost.
your 3.5 Power Boost, and Coyote? It seemed so. It's like that wouldn't be surprised if I saw Ford get rid of that, but I don't see Ford bringing out a new V8.
I don't
I
either,
just
and especially when they got a 5 liter that's so
yeah,
good. The
it's great
Coyote is
motor.
so good. It sucks with some of the new technology. They went to the wet
Yep,
belt stuff, and all
yep,
the things they did suck. But it is still if I had to pick a V8 in a full size truck today, it would probably be a very tough choice. Well, the Hemi's gone, so it's not even an option anymore. So, well, in
yep,
a full size, it's there in the HDs, but in a full size world, that Coyote and that would probably be my pick. I think right
yeah.
now.
It'd be interesting. I'd like to see you do more, and maybe you've done it and I've just missed it. I'd really love to get your thoughts now more on the GM 536266. It'd be really interesting to get your thoughts on that because I'm a big fan of that 6.2. It feels like a
Mhm.
beast compared to the 5.3. Um, but 5362, they've struggled with some things. My neighbor has got a 2021 Trail Boss. He's on his third set of lifters, I want to say, or
Yeah,
his valve train, his heads have been replaced. Just a regular dude, doesn't even tow with the thing. He just wanted a cool looking truck, and it does look cool. I love it. But he's literally had the valves on this thing fail 3 times now.
for sure. And again, any vehicle you buy today, I'm not buying it without an extended warranty because I'll never deal with that stuff.
Yep.
And but you're right. And honestly, like I said, I haven't owned a Chevy vehicle in 20 something years. You've never seen me with one. I've never had one, never liked them, never been a fan. Just in general, until they came out with the Colorado, they came out with the new Silverado, that kind of this lineup that they have now. And everything GM has been doing, I think, is phenomenal. I
I
think the
agree.
lifter issue in the V8s is still there. And I think it's kind of like the corrosion issue on Jeep. They're like, you know what? We're going to get rid of these motors pretty soon anyway. Just sweep them under the rug right now,
Yep.
fix it under warranty. We're going to move on. It's not cost effective to fix them.
Yep.
And I think that's the case and what's going on with it. But I am excited for the next motor that GM comes out. I think the 5.3 is good. I'm down again. We're down here in Georgia. This is Chevy country. I'm in farmland here where I am. Everybody drives a Chevy or drives a Ford. That's what you see here. But you see way more Chevys, and these things are worked hard. They're covered in mud. They're hauling horse trailer. They're working. And they're doing a fantastic job. And I'm one of those guys. You know, we are. We go to a gas station, a truck pulls up next to you. Hey, how you like that Silverado? Like we're doing it
Yeah.
all the time.
Sure.
I've never once heard anybody say they've been unhappy with them.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
but as far as those motors, I don't know enough about them. I haven't owned a GM or looked at them because until the Colorado, until the ZR2 Silverado, they never made a truck that really did what I needed to, that would ever
Yep.
fit what I need. So
Yeah.
never been a fan, or followed them.
I'd really love to see GM lean into a more off-road capable 1500 truck. The ZR2 is not bad, don't get me wrong, and the AT4X, but it's so limited on payload. It shocked me when I saw a ZR2 1500 with that Bison edition or whatever with the big AEV bumpers.
AEV, yep,
Dude, the thing had 800 pounds of payload.
right,
800 pounds, and it had a 6,800 pound tow rating.
right.
I
Well,
mean,
it's got
a Raptor has double the amount of payload and 50% more tow rating. That's insane.
right. And a Raptor's coming on 37s.
Exactly.
You weigh all these things too. It is kind of shocking how that stuff works. But the suspension, I mean, it's always the give or take. Well, look at a power wagon. Look
Yeah,
at a
that's
power
another
wagon.
animal that's weird.
Right, because again, it's soft suspension, it's
Yeah.
lifted high.
Yep.
It's designed to be, but I'll tell you what, go down a bumpy road or on any potholed street, go anywhere that's not butter smooth pavement in a power wagon and then do it in a 2500, you'll be begging for the power wagon. You
Yeah,
know, it's
100%.
plush, it's smooth, it's comfortable, there's a lot of advantages. But when you put that kind of suspension in, you're giving up the tow capacity, you're giving up the payload capacity. You know,
$100.
we talked about before when I had that 2019 Cummins and you had one. We were talking about, remember, going Carly suspension, buy the full size 2500, go with the Carly suspension so you get the payload, you get the towing, and you get the plush
Right.
suspension afterwards. You know,
Yep.
$4,500, drive like a dream, you know.
I did the Thurin, which is like a Carly, and
Mhm.
man, that's still the best riding HD truck I've ever driven. Hey,
For sure.
I know we're running long on time here, but I wanted to
Yep.
give everybody a chance. Just if they got any questions, we'll spend another few minutes on here of if there's any specific topics you'd like to see Jason or I do any vehicles or reviews or dive into. I can see for me what I want to start focusing on is really trying to figure out how to keep the most money in people's pocket. Like everybody's under a bunch of pressure. Like, when are the deals coming? Like, and just trying to give as much experience on what I'm seeing and sharing with everybody so it can help everybody stretch a dollar as much as you can. And so that's what I'm going to be working on in the future. I got a bunch of DIY videos I've already got ready. I've at least 10, 15 of them coming. So, and I really recommend you guys check out Jason's channel. This is literally, if you look at his growth in his channel right now, it's insane. He's just growing. You will not meet a person grind and work harder than Jason. I promise you that. So you guys watching him today, it'll be really fun to see where he's at a year from now, because he's on a path in his trajectory right now. His content, he's bringing the truth. I mean, this guy's already got dealerships and people threatening him because he's giving them the truth right now. So you guys got to keep your eye on him, and we'll put a link for his channel to subscribe to him.
Been a pleasure on here, man. It always is. We could do this forever. We do this forever. We sit and talk on the phone all the time about this kind of stuff. So we'll have to do this again. You know, like I said, this is great right here.
We love spending each other's money. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, at the rate we're going, my channel is going to turn into scooters and skateboards.
Yeah,
That's
right.
going to be all I got
And water
left to
heaters.
review.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions coming here. I don't know if your chat is up, but I haven't really seen any in the last few minutes. So maybe now will be a good time to sign off. Appreciate everybody joining in today. And if you guys enjoy this, we're going to do more of these in the future.
For sure. And again, thanks for having me on the channel for doing this. I don't know how to do all this live stuff. It was nice to be able to just sit back and just pop in here when you were ready. So I appreciate you handling it all.
No problem, man. Hey, thanks everybody for watching.
See you guys.